say a little prayer for you. While combing my hair now and wondering what dress to wear now, I say a little prayer for you. Forever and ever you stay in my heart, and I will love you forever and ever. We never will part. Oh, how I love you. Together is how it must be. To live without you would only mean heartbreak for me. I run for the bus, dear. And while riding I think of us, dear. I say a little prayer for you. At work I just take time, and all through my coffee break time I say a little prayer for you. Forever and ever you stay in my heart, and I will love you forever and ever. We never will part. Oh, how I love you. Together is how it must be. To live without you would only mean heartbreak for me.
I was born and reared in Homer, Louisiana. I went to Terrebonne High School, and I graduated in 1956. And from there, I went into nursing school at Hotel Dieu School of Nursing, which was run by the Daughters of Charity. After I graduated, I went back to Houma, and I worked in the hospital for 6 years. And I decided I wanted to do something new. So I went to talk to the Air Force recruiter, and I talked to the Army recruiter. But I felt like the Air Force recruiter wanted a nurse versus a soldier. So I went into the Air Force. And my first assignment was in New Mexico. Well, in New Mexico, I met 4 other nurses there, and they became lifelong friends. And the charge nurse did us a wonderful favor and shipped us all to the Philippines. So we had 18 months more together there. And the Philippines was wonderful. It was a wonderful base. It was beautiful. I worked in the orthopedic unit there. And then the last 6 months, I worked in the casualty staging, where we would get in, say, 100 wounded, and we had to get them cleaned up, feed them, decided if they were going to go to surgery the next morning or were they going to be shipped further to another hospital, either Japan or back to the States. From there, I went to San Antonio, where I was an air evacuation nurse, and that's where I became a captain. And from there, they closed my unit at Kelly Field and say, where do you want to go? I said, I want to go to Vietnam. I was sent to Vietnam, and I was there for a year. It was 1968, and it was really strange because the night I arrived in Saigon, it was midnight. It was so hot. And the day that I arrived at our nursing facility, the next morning after Saigon, they brought me there, and there was this row of sandbags. I said to myself, I don't believe this, sandbags? And then I realized, well, I'm in a war. They sent the females to Cam Ranh Bay because they thought it was safer.
Yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. Next year all our troubles will be miles away. Once again, as in olden days, happy golden days.
Cam Ranh Bay was on the coast, and the beach sands were white, and the water was blue. It was a wonderful experience. You had to walk to everywhere you went on. You had to go and the soldiers, young soldiers, they almost stopped their trucks to look at you. We had to go to Guam to learn how to evacuate a plane in the ocean if we had to land in the ocean. And we had to go to a school where we had to jump out of a helicopter and with a little dinghy on our back and land in the water and hope to get in our little boat, a little floater thing, and wait there for them to come back in an hour or so to pick us up. I couldn't swim, so I was really worried about landing in the water and not being able to climb in my little dinghy. That was an experience, but a lot of Air Force nurses didn't want to do that. And they said, well, if you don't want to do that, you're not being an Air Force evacuation nurse. So they'd call us the day before what patients we had to pick up and tell us what medications they needed, what equipment they needed, make sure we had that on board. We'd fly off the coast most of the time, and then we'd go in country to pick the patients up. And while I was flying air evacuation, it was only one time that we had the experience of when we landed, there was incoming. and I was left on board with a few patients by myself. And I said that wasn't a problem. So I didn't get a commendation, but you know, it was an experience. The officer in charge, he came over and he asked me would I volunteer to go to Bangkok to fly our evacuation missions there because the nurse they had sent was not qualified to fly. So I did that for 6 months. And after I left Vietnam, the hospital got bombed.
A handful of Viet Cong terrorists slipped through the barbed wire perimeter of this U.S. Army convalescent hospital and began throwing explosive satchel charges into the wards with devastating effect. 3 of the hospital buildings, crammed with beds full of American soldiers, many of whom had already been wounded once, were blown apart. Several other wards and the hospital chapel were badly damaged in the explosions and fires which followed.
In 1971, after I was transferred to Virginia, I got married to my husband, Lee Roberts, and I had met him in the Philippines while I was there. And he was the love of my life. We got married in 71, and from there, I was transferred to Griffiths Air Force Base in New York, and we were there for 5 years at Griffiths. I had 2 children there. I retired from there. I was a lady of leisure after that. That's my story.